Well, clearly the Supreme Court in its verdict did a balancing act. It had something for the right to livelihood. It also had something for pollution control. But what are the larger implications? How difficult is it to implement this ban? What are the consequences as far as the firecrackers manufacturing and sale is concerned? How will the industry get affected? What happens to all those events where firecrackers are a must? And at the same time, will this temporary curb or will this balancing act provide the much needed relief as far as air and sound pollution is concerned? To discuss all these aspects, we are joined in by a wonderful panel this morning in our studios. I would like to introduce them first up. On to my left, I have Dr. Lubna, who is an environmentalist, and at the same time, she also represents the Socialist Party in Telangana. She is the General Secretary. Thank you so much for taking out time and joining us, Dr. Lubna. We also have Arun Kumar, who is the founder and CEO of Vajra events, one of the largest event management companies over here in Telangana. They do a lot of fireworks, and he's also into selling firecrackers, if I'm not wrong. He's one of the largest traders in the state. Thank you so much for joining us, Arun. Last but not the least, I have Sufi Khan, who is an actor and also an environmentalist of sorts, because she's fairly concerned about the well-being of the people and concerned about the air and sound pollution. First up, I would want to hear from Arun. Arun, it is a balancing act that the Supreme Court has done. Of course, we need to respect the verdict. Having said that, what will be the impact on the firecrackers industry? Those who are into manufacturing, those who are into trading.
See, it will be very effective for, first of all, Chennai state, Tamil Nadu state. So why? Because the entire state is dependent on the fireworks revenue.
Right.
Almost it's
the whole city of Shivakasi.
Shivakasi.
I think the only business is firecrackers.
Right. So it's not only about the fireworks. See, the fireworks manufacturing related to, there are a lot of things, print material, paper, board. There are a lot of materials are there. So it would be affected to the entire trade.
There's a huge economy which is actually based on the firecracker industry.
Right.
Yeah, it is not just those who deal with the chemicals or those who put the crackers together. It is also those related to the entire industry, like, the printing industry, as well as those who are into transportation, the laborers, a lot of them. So all of them will get significantly affected.
Right, 100%.
Right. Now, as far as my understanding goes, there are many events, not just Diwali, Christmas and Dashera or New Year's. There are many events where there is a firecracker display. You talk about celebrations, you talk about IPL matches, you talk about kabaddi games, you talk about weddings. A lot of them use firecrackers. So what does this verdict effectively mean? Will it be a complete ban on use of firecrackers for those events?
See, even I have to see, so whether it would be totally banned or how come a government will manage this thing. So, see, for example, if down the line in December, almost there is a 30 to 40,000 weddings in only Telangana state.
Whoa!
So in every wedding, they will use huge celebrations. Let's take right from Bharat kind of thing, wedding, reception, for any occasion in Telangana state, as a South people will celebrate a huge louder in fireworks.
Right. So clearly there will be larger implications. It is not just those who are directly involved with the firecracker business, it is also those who are on the periphery. The events industry will be significantly affected. And as you pointed out, that for almost all of these weddings, there is a significant demand for firecrackers, which means that all these celebrations somewhere will suffer owing to the latest verdict. And that will reflect on the jobs, the temporary as well as permanent jobs that are created for the people on the periphery.
See, almost if, almost we are into 10 years for the past fireworks traders. So year it was very decreasing the business due to a lot of
issues being raised by
the...
Right, the environmentalists as well as even the courts in the country. Right. But are you prepared for it? Is this a hit for you in the coming season? Because this is your peak season, isn't it? November, December, January, that's when bulk of the weddings take place. That's when bulk of the celebrations happen.
See, night it can't be implemented. It will take some time. So we have to wait how government takes on this.
Okay. But somewhere, the event management companies will be the one-point contact in the event of any contempt of court happening. Because when it comes to individuals, like for instance, even if there is a time frame that is allowed for bursting of crackers on Diwali between 8 and 10, if there is an individual who steps out at 5 o'clock in the evening and bursts a cracker and runs back home, he will not be affected. But if there is an event management company or if it is a trader who's involved, then there is somebody to pick on. So you will become obviously the point of contact in the event of contempt of court. Let me hear it from the environmentalist. Lubna, what are your thoughts on this? Do you support this balancing act, or do you actually want a complete ban?
No, I'm actually asking, I wouldn't say ban, but I'm actually asking more from the Supreme Court, because the present scenario in the country is that the legislature is not doing its job. Because this part actually had to be done by the assemblies and by the parliament, by the ministries.
Long back.
Long back. MOEF and CC, what is it doing? Okay. And these sort of, now the Supreme Court has taken into consideration only one part of the air pollution that is happening. And
even sound pollution to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Because they have asked for ladis and all to be done away with.
But you know what? This is, they are addressing a very minor portion of the entire problem of air pollution and sound pollution. See, because the 2-3 days of Diwali is not causing the entire year's pollution.
Correct.
The entire year the Delhi is polluted, the whole India is polluted, so many cities in India are polluted. We are on the pollution map.
This looks more like a quick fix, a jugaad. Though this is not essentially the reason behind complete air pollution.
Yes.
Like for instance, we talk about Delhi, there's a lot of stubble burning that happens in Punjab and Haryana and Uttar Pradesh and adjacent states. And that is affecting the air quality more than firecrackers.
Yeah, we wouldn't say more, but because it's adding, you know what? And if you look into the, let me just put it properly. See, the Constitution of India is actually focusing in Article 21 about the quality of life. The dignity of life. So, Supreme Court has clarified in many of its orders that dignity of life and right to life is actually about being able to breathe pure, to eat pure. It is clarified in so many of its orders. So, if this order is coming from the Supreme Court, it's having the backing of all the Constitution and also the previous orders.
And all the fundamental rights of the citizens of the country.
Rights, as well as the directive principles. If you look at that, it is the duty of every individual, which includes the government and the courts and everybody. Every citizen of the country is bound by the Constitution to save the environment, which means to save the purity of air, to save the purity of soil, to save the purity of water and everything. Now, keeping the gamut of pollution that's happening in India, and if you look at the Supreme Court order, which is addressing a minor portion of the problem of air pollution and sound from the Diwali perspective and burning crackers perspective, there is much more you can ask.
So you mean to say that in doctor's language, this is just a symptom?
This is just a symptom that's being addressed.
This is not the entire disease. The problem is much bigger.
Problem is much bigger.
Fair enough. So you need to address multiple other aspects and not just a ban or adha adhura ban on firecrackers, if I can put it like that.
But still, it is welcome because this gives a direction to the parliament that you didn't do it.
To formulate laws.
Yes, and we did it.
Okay, fair enough. That's a good point that she made. Let me hear it from you, Sufi. I think you were delighted with this balancing act done by the Supreme Court. You thought that they have kept both the interest of livelihood, the right to livelihood of those people involved in the manufacturing sector of firecrackers, as well as the billion-plus population at large, because it's a matter of their health, it's a matter of their well-being. Your thoughts?
I think I'm very glad and very supportive for her. Dr. Lubna, what she's saying is completely right. But as per my point of view, I think Supreme Court has taken a very correct decision for, it's a very balanced decision for the nation, and they have not put a complete ban on all the crackers. Only the low emission crackers are permitted. So the right to trade is also there.
Right.
Yeah.
So basically you mean to say that now the traders and the manufacturers will have to justify this and they will have to balance it out. What are green crackers exactly?
See, up to now there is no green crackers at all.
Okay, so now they need to come up with green crackers.
Right.
So what happens to the entire stock that was already manufactured so far?
See, it have to be sold out only. There is nobody will.
Who will buy it?
A lot of people.
See, when the moment we are telling it has to be sold out, you are actually going against the order.
Correct.
Simple.
Exactly my point.
Simple.
Exactly my point.
You can never tell that statement at all.
Correct.
And the BJP MP who is telling yesterday that I will burn after 10 p.m., you know, he is already contempt of court.
Correct.
It's an oral contempt
that will be
of court.
treated as
You can't
contempt of
tell
court.
that
She has
at
a
all.
point. She has a point. So, you know, I would like to believe that this entire stock that has already been generated, created, manufactured, that has to be destroyed because obviously you cannot burn crackers going forward.
See, you people didn't intimated or notice given period, so that it won't be happen damage to the manufacturers or traders.
Right.
See, there are some big players and some small players.
Right.
Big players, they don't affect at all. But small players, how come they? So it would be.
See, when you are actually talking about health, okay, about the basic thing, the children's asthmatic problem is increasing, and that is proven. Yesterday we saw Dr. Arun Kumar.
I want to understand more on that. I in fact wanted to get a child who actually has been affected by asthma and who actually.
And also an old person.
Right.
Because when in our lane, when they are burning, I actually saw that everything is affecting my mother as well. So, and I was bothered about the sick
So,
person.
is there a
uncle who
direct
is there.
correlation between cracker bursting and asthma?
Of course, because the
Medically,
first-
as an I want to understand more.
See, because I am not a medical doctor, I am an economist. So, but I am telling that we are actually observing it and we are actually feeling it. As a normal person without any asthma also, when I inhale all the sulfur and the doctors are clearly on board telling, they have even submitted to the Supreme Court that this particulate matter that enters in, everything that enters the lungs are not able to exhale all the impurities.
Right.
And there are some impurities which actually go down and stay there. And when it is cumulative.
But again, my
then
question is firecracker the only reason? There is a lot of vehicular
this
population.
is what I started
pollution.
with by telling that
Right.
the industrial pollution, the vehicular pollution, these are the
Construction pollution.
construction
Yearly,
Every
pollution.
city
So
is
all these
growing.
are there.
There is a lot of construction that is happening
Once
everywhere.
Diwali happens.
Right.
But 365 days the vehicles are running in and around.
And almost 365 days construction is happening in the country,
So,
at least
so
in the
we are
metro
not banning
cities.
vehicles, and when they ban vehicles again, the industry will stand up. Okay, so that's the
No, no,
point.
I'm
here.
also trying to do a balancing act.
Pollution
I'm also
part.
trying to do a balancing act. We need to understand both, you know, the kind of impact it will have on the environment as well as what happens to the jobs. What happens to the economy in general? Because, mind you, there are thousands of lives that are actually based on the industry. I can speak about it because I have been to Shivakasi. I've seen how the industry works. And as he pointed out, as Arun mentioned earlier, it's not just those who are manufacturing. There are also several peripheral organizations that are directly or indirectly connected with the business. So their lives will get affected. And that is the only thing that they have learned all their lives.
Yeah.
You know, you can't ask, let's say, for me as an anchor to go and start stitching something because I don't know anything about it. The only thing that I know so far is talking. Likewise for them. Your thoughts on that, Sufi?
I think we should all join hands together to implement this, and every year instead of burning hazardous crackers, we should just plant something good. You know.
Okay, and maybe use green crackers.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, now let's talk about the implementation part. We have barely about 5 minutes left in the discussion. Very quickly, what could be the possible challenges in implementing this verdict going forward? Does that imply that you will not be able to use crackers at all for any other occasions apart from Diwali, Christmas and New Year's?
See, that's what the government have to come with an other option that's stating that there will be certain duration period or permission kind of thing if you want to do certain parameters of using rather using hours of fireworks. It would be just for occasion 5 minutes or 10 minutes, taking a licensing kind of thing. If it, in these parameters, if it comes, it would be somewhere it can be
Confusion
controlled.
prevails. You mean to say that it's slightly vague right now? You still do not know what exactly it entails. What are the areas where you are allowed? What are the areas where you're not allowed?
Right.
There's still some degree of confusion.
Right, right.
So I guess in the coming days, once the order copy is actually out and once we get to understand and go through it, we'll probably be able to figure out as to what the elements are.
But the SHO part of it, see, the Supreme Court has very rightly so that if it assigns the responsibility of implementation to certain department, again the department, when it gets a complaint, will have to approach the police. So Supreme Court has removed that barrier and assigned it to an SHO, because every SHO has 1 or 2 kilometers of jurisdiction.
That is
Every
my exact
police
question
station.
to you. That is my exact question. In fact, I've got the biggest concern about that. You have assigned the responsibility to the SHO.
Yeah.
Can the SHO physically monitor?
Yes, it is possible.
How?
I will tell you.
An
Because,
area
you know,
of
yes,
2 or 3 kilometers
Yes, but-
will have at least thousands of people.
Yes.
Some naughty kid coming out and bursting crackers and then rushing back
No,
into the
it is.
household.
See, I'll tell
How
you.
can you keep an eye
Yes,
on that?
yes, it can be
It's
done.
like, you know, one policeman trying to control
It's not
1,000
one person.
people.
The SHO has, you know, SHO normally they have a jurisdiction of 1-2 kilometers. Okay, so always they have a team over there. It's not just the one person. SHO has SIs under him, CIs under him, and also the constables. So it's now their duty to propagate the order in their jurisdiction and then alert everybody, telling that you please come down to us, because it happened when the sound pollution was happening in our colony, and I rang up to the police station. They actually told them these are the rules. Stop after 11 p.m. Let's start about 10 p.m. So it happens. No, and the one biggest concern now is that before the Supreme Court के सामने और एक there is another very major case. Swami Sanand or Professor G.D. Agarwal, he died on the 112th day of his fasting just because of the pollution of the Ganga. So now see, when I told that this is a very minuscule part that's addressed, see the entire pollution of Ganga that has happened. So many industries such as this firecrackers and many other pharma and other industries and sewage waters have polluted the Ganga. So pollution has to be addressed on such a big,
on multiple
fronts.
Very quickly, let me take your thoughts as well. I'll come to you in a short while. Before that, Arun, do you think somewhere it's a step in the right direction? Yes, I do understand that the business will get affected, your business in particular, because you're one of the largest traders, and I'm sure you must be having almost a heart attack right now after listening to the verdict. But going forward somewhere, considering the environment, do you think it's a positive step in the right direction? May not be the complete solution, but at least the first step?
No, it's a positive sign and it's a first step. So,
Okay.
but meanwhile, how their government has been, Supreme Court has been taken into the fireworks conservation. Meanwhile, they have to take into several other which are polluting the major environment. So
you basically believe that a lot more detailing needs to be done in this particular aspect, as well as a lot more other considerations need to be taken into account, including the other pollutants, vehicular pollution, construction pollution,
Industrial
pollution.
and solid waste management, the pollution that's happening
Which is the worst.
right now.
I think that's a separate discussion altogether. Solid waste management is another 1 hour discussion.
Exactly.
Even there's a
Right now in
plastic-
Delhi, Okhla में जो solid waste management का landfill है ना,
Right.
it is continuously burning.
मैं आपको हर जगह लेके जाऊंगा. Delhi ही नहीं, हैदराबाद में भी there's a lot of pollution, industrial pollution being dumped into
Right now
lakes,
it's being
lakes getting
burnt.
destroyed.
It's on fire.
Same case in Bengaluru.
and even
So
plastic playing a key role.
correct, plastic is playing a big role. By the way, there are efforts on that front as well. At least multiple states are trying to
No,
ban
not satisfactory
plastic.
at all. Not satisfactory.
Not satisfactory. All right, so that's a separate debate altogether. So, your thoughts on this?
Well, surely there's a loss in the business for traders and all that, but we should also focus on the child laborers which are involved.
That's
also
an interesting
in
aspect that she brought up.
See,
There is a lot of child labor.
Nowadays, there are
In
no
every
child
industry,
laborers in
it is
the
there.
fireworks industry.
Is what they claim, Arun. The reality
Yeah.
is something else. As in, they claim that there are no children working over here, but if you
Either
actually
Vajra
get into one of
in the
So it
those...
was earlier,
Right.
but right now,
Earlier
no.
it was rampant, but now it is not completely over. There are still children who are being utilized in the fireworks
Yeah.
industry.
No, in industry, basically where I do.
So you must be buying your crackers from the proper licensed vendors, or those who are into the industry. So probably you may have not seen, but yes, I think the ground reality is that there is child labor involved in that. So yes, that's a good point. What else do you think it's good for the environment? It's the first step in the right direction.
I think I will definitely support the CPCB has also stated that we should enjoy the freedom from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. So I think we should actually implement it.
Okay.
Because there is a right to breathe, right to live. Let's make it a very go green, healthy Diwali.
Fantastic. I think that's a nice way of looking at it. So what we need to do is that we need to enjoy the freedom to burst our crackers between 8 and 10 p.m. At the same time, we need to respect the fact that we enjoy a lot of fundamental rights, and one of those rights happens to be living with dignity. Thank you so much, all of you. I wish we could have extended it further because there's a lot to talk, but unfortunately, we are pressed for time as always. Thank you so much for watching. Time now for a short break, but news and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned for that.